Hello, good morning everybody. I think I'm on. Good morning everybody. Thank you for those that struggled in this morning. As you're aware, there has been a major incident on the M6 this morning, which has resulted in the closure of the southbound carriageway between junctions 13 and 12 near Stafford. And as a consequence of this, a number of cabinet members are stuck in the traffic this morning and will be late for the meeting. As the issue on today's agenda is of major importance to the Council, I propose we adjourn the meeting until 10:30 to enable more members to be here in attendance. Thank you very much. I will now end the meeting till 10:30. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for that delay for unforeseen circumstances due to an accident on the M6. I think people have now had the chance to get here, those can make it, and take a little breath for a couple of minutes while we start the serious business of this morning. Just a brief one. This is just an affirmation of what has gone before regarding LGR. We are looking at the business case for LGR today and no more really. So I'm going to start off with, are there any apologies for absence?
Good morning, Leader. I have apologies from Patrick Allen, David Cecil, Martin Rogerson, Anthony Screen and Marie Shortland.
Thank you for that. Item number 2, declarations of interest in accordance with Standing Order number 16. Are there any declarations of interest within this room at all? Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I will now move on to item 3, devolution and local government reorganisation in Staffordshire. It's on your papers as pages 3 to 158. I will now pass that over to our Deputy Leader, Martin Rogerson.
Martin?
Martin Rogerson, try again. Martin Murray. Martin's just giving his apologies. Try again.
Yes, good morning. After the debate in full council a few weeks ago, and attendance at overview and scrutiny last week, the members here today agree that local government reorganisation is not something we want, and it's certainly not something that Staffordshire is needed. The real prize is genuine devolution and the shift from funding and power from Westminster to our great county. It's been quietly put on the back burner by the government in favour of shuffling the deck chairs. They are determined to press ahead with reorganisation regardless of the growing national debt debate on its value. And if we don't play by the rules, this will be done to us rather than with us. As you know, we are required by government to put forward an option, not necessarily that the county, the city and the districts, boroughs, even the communities themselves want, but that is most likely to succeed. There is no perfect option for local government reorganisation. Every option involves balancing important priorities and making inevitable trade-offs, where some options are strong, others may not be, and vice versa. There are always many challenges that will be shared, whether the option is east-west, north-south, or any combination. Things like making bigger councils feel local, or how safely land vital social care services in the authorities. The east-west option is all about parity and equity. We don't want either new council to be disproportionately burdened or disadvantaged because all of our residents, regardless of where they live, deserve quality value for money and services. I made a commitment from the outset to put forward an option that is backed by evidence, an option which is more likely to deliver the best, not just for the individual wards we serve, but for the county and the city as a whole. The full business case was proposing we submit to government is within your papers, highlighting that we have considered a raft of evidence for 8 possible options for local government reorganisation, assessing them using expert financial modelling against the government's 6 criteria for change through balanced analysis to understand how key financial, social and economic factors are distributed across the options. We've diligently checked and challenged the data. It is not pick and mix of who would like to be with or perhaps wouldn't like to be with. It is about what is fair, equitable and gives us the best chance of delivering our aspirations for Staffordshire's people and our amazing county. We have used the government's own criteria, and the east-west option simply stacks up better than a north-south split, or indeed any other options we examined. Although the local government reorganisation agenda is rushed and being forced upon us, we will continue to champion Staffordshire and continue to challenge government on the proposal, on the management of Stoke's financial legacy and on the devolution agenda, which will rightly allow powers and funding to flow from the government to local decision makers, rather than pushing this ill-advised reorganisation and local council structures through first. This will include a letter to government that all of the full councils were in agreement of. Finally, before I go to the recommendations, and we are open up for questions, before we go to the recommendations and we open up for questions, I would like to stress once again that this will ultimately be a government's decision, not ours. It was actually stated in the paper and in statements. We will decide for you. But I do believe we must work with the evidence and what is most likely to succeed. Whatever the option the government proceeds with, we will make this work. We simply must. Our communities are counting on us. I recommend that Cabinet notes and approves our proposals for local government reorganisation in Staffordshire and any associated appendices for submission in line with the government's requirements. B, agrees that the leader and deputy leader of Staffordshire County Council will submit our proposal for local government reorganisation in Staffordshire and any associated appendices to the government by the deadline of the 28th of November 2025. C, delegates authority to make any final amendments to our proposal for local government reorganisation in Staffordshire, where the amendments do not change the substantive nature of the proposal and any associated appendices to undertake and administrative submissions of report to the Director of Transformation, with prior consultation with the leader and deputy leader of the council, in accordance with the deadline of the 28th of November 2025. This is what we'll be proposing for today and to be voting on later for the business case. I'll now open it up to any questions from the room.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Get the name right this time. Thinking Martin Rogerson, too much not for making it. Okay, I'm going to open up to the floor. Can I take questions, please, to Martin? Good morning, Councillor Higgins. Would you like to ask a question to Martin?
Yeah, morning. Yeah, could I just ask, when this happens, will areas still have a local council? And will residents still be able to have a local voice and a local office to go to?
In short, absolutely yes. Yes, every area will keep their local services. And the civil servants. Remember, all these services still continue, regardless of what shape, size of any authority is bestowed upon us. It's only the higher level executives, the chief executives, this very, very senior management of where the changes take place. Your bins will still be emptied. Your schools, your services will still continue. The roads will still continue. None of this essentially changes. That local structure still exists. It's fundamental. And yes, again, that local office, I mean, there has been a lot of scaremongering, certainly out of certain areas, out of your own area in Lichfield, saying that people in Lichfield have to go to Stoke. It's absolute folly and political scaremongering, that statement is that some people have made. It's false, it's wrong, it's basically a lie. It will not happen by any methods. no matter what shape they take. Even with our business plan, we have suggested for committees to be set up on certain important local issues like planning and licensing. We've already seen this in other unitary authorities and devolved powers throughout the country. Yorkshire is a great model which are doing some of these. Planning to keep up appearance of Lichfield will be very different to that even of South Staffs. Must have the right within each area to do, and that will continue. Also within our plan, and this goes regardless whether LGR happens or not, we would like to expand community hubs to every part of this county. It's a great asset to get rid of that carbuncle, old school council monstrosities that were built 50, 60 years ago in some cases. They're no longer needed. Modern office work has changed dramatically. Do not have thousands upon thousands of staff, if you like, typing pools even. We need smaller, more efficient centres where multiple authorities sit and work together. We have two great such community hubs in Staffordshire already. Castle House in Newcastle and Codsall Community Hub, actually in Codsall, South Staffs. There they have not just the council officers, they have the police, they have social services, they have child and adult probationary teams there. I've actually witnessed it with my own eyes when adult probation is actually passing a bit of paper and speaking to a police officer to walk past. The efficiency is immense in these community hubs, regardless whether LGR happens or whatever shape. These must be something we instill within every area. And that means that every single local area, you still have a building, a place to go to do your local services. They'll exist, whichever shape or size, they still exist. It's in there whichever model. So do not believe political hype and scaremongering. Your local services, a place for you to go, exists no matter which shape is taken.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. The Lichfield residents will be pleased to hear that.
Thank you, Councillor Higgins. May I take more questions? Councillor Coles.
Good morning. And again, thank you for all the work that Councillor Murray and the officers have put into this, because it is a very thorough business plan that's been put forward. I note that Lichfield has stated they consulted over 16,000 residents, probably across Staffordshire, and then was also a petition that was started. I was just wondering, do you feel that Staffordshire County Council have consulted with enough people, because it has been queried, and whether the petition made or influenced anything in the decision-making process?
Yeah, we took very early on, we did the engagement process, was advised actually within the documentation from government. We did a full engagement going across several criteria. We hit the public, businesses, stakeholders and communities. We had a conversation, explained, and then took questions and listened to their opinions across the whole county. We listened to what was important for Newcastle, concerns in LGR, the benefits. You know, this with the residents, the businesses, the council employees, stakeholders. We did online engagement, and ours was actually independent and impartial. And that is so vitally important. Ours was independent and impartial. We took a completely independent view and listened to the key people with explanation. Now, we have this one that's come out of the south, 16,000 people engaged. Consultations, public consultations, need to be unbiased. It actually states in the forward from the government that they should not be influenced or show selected maps or proposals going forward. This consultation of theirs became no more than an online political lobby movement. The comments, the separate groups, it went on, and some of it actually became quite abhorrent at times. I mean, seeing some of the comments like, what does Lichfield have in common with the Moorlands? What does Lichfield have in common with Stoke? I mean, I'm sorry, but I have something in common with everybody in this country, and I certainly have something in common with everybody in the county of Staffordshire. And when I say Staffordshire, I've always included our great city of Stoke-on-Trent in that. I mean, that consultation come out there, but at any level, I'd say it has to be inadmissible. They turned it into a lobbyist movement, a political agenda. It's totally inadmissible. became a politicised social media campaign only. And as for the petitions, again, led by two actually Conservatives, one in the north saying no to Stoke to be in the north, and then a more recent one, no to Stoke to be in the south. I mean, which side of the Conservatives sit on? They seem to argue amongst themselves about where. And again, they're saying no to Stoke, and I'm saying yes to Stoke. This is a fantastic city. Its businesses are amazing. Make no two ways about it. Yes, it is carrying a debt, but a lot of that debt is down to more of poor structural base of being too small yet not big enough to, or too big to be within the county and too small to run all of its own services, and has run up a debt. Now, yes, that does have to be addressed, but to say no to our great city is frankly an insult to everybody from Stoke-on-Trent, and I will never accept people who say that about our county.
Well, thank you for that. Just a brief note as before we move on. I'd just like to amend the apologies. Councillor Martin Rogerson has now turned up, so we do have two Martins in the room now. Councillor Murray. Okay. No, you're okay. We understand. We give apologies because of the traffic incident on the M6. Okay, so we'll move it on now. Councillor Mason.
Thank you. Given that there's been some challenge placed out there, could Councillor Murray say, were we right to continue using PwC after the previous administration instructed them to do this work? And did we get value for money from them?
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Yeah, personally, we were right to carry on using PwC. First and foremost, we wanted a couple of extra options to look at. They'd already done all the key work, so if we'd gone to somebody else, it would have been a start from scratch and a huge extra cost. The other important reason for continue to use PricewaterhouseCoopers, it is the same consultancy firm the government has used for this whole process. It is the same consultancy that it is all based on. They did early work 2019, then re-amended that, taking more recent data. So it's the whole process that devolution LGR is based upon, is reports from PwC. As I said before, it's like using the referee for this game. So we were right. Value for money. These consultants are not cheap. This whole process has cost just over £200,000 for this consultancy. There is a lot of work that's gone into it, but again, it's a lot of money. The government gave the whole of Staffordshire £367,336 to do this consultation process. That's for the whole of Staffordshire. Not a lot of money for this. Early on, before we came in, it was agreed beforehand, and the Staffordshire County Council received £97,956 of that money. So our total cost directly out of Staffordshire County Council and the taxpayer is £111,544. Is that value for money? Well, I don't think the whole process is great value for money itself, but it had to be done. These people are expensive, but greater waste has been done. Now, once again, that great city of Stoke-on-Trent did put through a great early report through. They used a different consulting firm, and again, worth every penny. But we've also had work done out of Newcastle. Staffordshire Moorlands. We've had two different ones out of, rather than a joined 6 districts out of the south of the county, it's more like a fractured 3. They've done 2 separate reports. I mean, how much is this all costing, let alone the cost of the hours worked and the hours taken away from other vital services? I mean, our transformation team alone have done probably at least 30% of their recent time over the last couple of months spent on LGR. And I guarantee you every single area about the same. That is hours paid, taken away from other more important issues than local government reorganisation. Remember, the original devolution white paper was presented to us. So no public mandate, not mentioned that every part of the UK would be devolved in the election. And originally it was about devolution, devolve power for the whole of the county. Now that's worthy. That allows us to have control. But that was very quickly changed into local government reorganisation only, with no timeline for devolution. So to me, the whole lot is, frankly, it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time that we've spent and taken away from vital services overall. But sometimes we are asked to do jobs that we must do. We must remain unbiased. We must remain professional. We must do the best job that will represent everybody in Staffordshire. And this is legacy. This will last for decades to come, far beyond the time that we are even around here. So we have to make sure we use the best people, the ones most aligned to the process, to give the best possible option by evidence for the people of Staffordshire. And PwC hits all those points. So on that, it was the right choice to make.
Wonderful. Thank you, councillors. Are any more questions from the floor? Councillor Miners.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murray. On page 31 of 158, there's a very good summary of the 8 options considered. In the business plan, you show the financial implications of these 8 different unitary authorities. Was there any way we could have made a smaller business case for a smaller unitary authority, perhaps like option 4? Thank you.
Thank you for that. It's why I initially came through, we had some extra options. The criteria, early conversation I had was very clear. We must make this a pure business case, totally unbiased and without any political agenda. This is about Staffordshire, not any specific area. The criteria, 6-fold. Only one really looks at local engagement and empowerment. There was some confusion a few months into this where some people thought that they could have smaller unitaries. The LGA actually stated only a couple of months back that it was acknowledged that the subsequent softening of this 500,000 target did cause confusion. And it was just that confusion. The 500,000 mark is there for a very good reason. Not only the cost of transitioning the authorities into a unitary authority, into a single, has extreme cost and complexities. To do it smaller, 300,000 or less, frankly, never pays back the cost. But there's even bigger ones on that. It's all the extra costs from running thereafter that also get added on. And you have others that looked at different areas. We had Staffordshire Moorlands that thought that they could change boundaries by parish council boundaries. It very clearly stipulated it is the district borough boundaries. These are the ones that are mentioned that our boundaries could not be changed. That these are the boundary lines you must follow. That is very clearly stipulated within it. I mean, I'm not quite sure what Newcastle's proposal is. It's a little bit skewed at Newcastle by itself going into Shropshire, and yeah, it doesn't make a great deal of sense. We have now the Stokes North-South option is very close and has to be seriously considered. But we have these 2 plans now coming out of the south with 2 options for 3 unitaries, both of around 350, 360,000, 2 unitaries in the south. They are financially inept to go forward. We looked at it. Our modelling clearly shows the costing to do one. I mean, on the number 4, we're taking nearly 9 years to pay back its cost. It is not value for money for the people of Staffordshire. And remember, this is all about legacy for Staffordshire. So the reason why we had to go for only a 2-unitary option is solely because the criteria laid that out before us. This is about financial cost savings and frankly nothing more. And that is the mistake of the criteria put before us. But those are the rules of the game. 2 unitaries is the only financial stability that keeps Staffordshire together, henceforth why we put through our preferred choice, the West East option, which is the most cost-effective and gives Staffordshire the best chance of success going forwards.
Thank you. Councillor Miners. Councillor Hunt.
Thank you. Martin,
we're just talking about larger and we've got small authorities and how they work. We know that too large an authority at the end of the day would be able to pay back some of the costs of the LGR process and all that. But it's too large an authority and it'd be too spread of accounts, etc., etc. We talked about all those aspects. In terms of, though, when looking at other plans from other councils, so other proposals that are being put forward from smaller smaller unitary authorities, there's an argument that there are savings within that, and reasonably, if you follow the numbers, it does seem to be that from what they're showing, there would be a saving of having a small authority. What would you say about what the other councils and their numbers compared to our numbers on the implications of a smaller authority?
Thank you, Councillor Hunt. Yeah, initially, if you just look at the single cost of transition, it can pay back over a longer period. There can be some savings. But that doesn't look at the whole picture of this. The cost of transition is just one of the costs. You then have the long-term running cost of all these, the smaller area to run everything under one authority. You lose all economics of scale. This adds an extra financial burden, and if there are any impacts on the economy or changes within any of the services, this impacts multifold because you are smaller. A larger authority has that capacity to lift up and take those outside pressures that will come forward over time. One of the big points, and again, I've become obsessed. I've read a lot of these documentations. Came out to government, we know that the adult child care and the SEND costing is being changed. That has been delayed now until early next year. But I'll give a briefing quote from the County Council Network. I made some notes here on this. SEND, that bill has more than trebled since 2017. And they've done a modelling, CCN have. And there's a 5.9 billion deficit running by 2026-2027. So they've through their modelling, they've placed 18 councils, unitaries across this country will become insolvent by 2027. Just because of this, 18. Now these are all smaller unitaries and councils of all different models. That's because they can't do it. They even placed that to go as high as 24 going forward. And we're now having this force. I mean, PwC estimated and others that this is going to cost at least 9 billion across the country to do this LGR. The long-term implications, we know SEND, adult child service care, is roughly around 70% of our costings out of a council. And these costs are going through the roof. So if you have a smaller authority, it's more than just that straight equation of management costs and running your authority, that business of all the councillors, the civil servants. It's running those vital services for the most vulnerable, the most needed in our communities. And that impact is huge going forward. Everybody knows that cost has trebled, quadrupled, and is going up further. As a smaller unitary authority, you will never cover the cost to do that. So you'll have one of two choices. Cut services to our most vulnerable and our most needed, or go bankrupt. Frankly, going for a smaller authority, it's either incompetent, unkind, ill thought out, and unwise. We must think more than just our political career of the next 3-4 years, the next election, whatever it may be. This is legacy for the next several decades, for multi-generations. We must put in place now for that will guarantee the security, the safety, and the services for everybody at every level, no matter where you are in the county or in the country. And these are the considerations that we have seriously taken on board, the long-term costs going forwards. And that's why only a two-unitary authority could ever possibly sustain those costs.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Lakin first.
Thank you. First of all, can I just say thank you to Councillor Murray and all the officers for the hard work that they've put in to produce the proposal and what we're discussing today. Can you confirm to me, please, that the east-west split is the best, truly the best case for Staffordshire?
Yeah, it's actually in the documentation that we've presented last week and on the table today in our business case. The metrics overall, when you consider everything, are either equal to or better than the next best case, which is a north-south, the City of Stoke-on-Trent's proposal. Even if you put it through AI and you put all the proposals together, even though AI comes up with saying east-west is best. Don't quite like that saying. I'm not a great fan of AI, but it still comes out that way. The financial costs is very clear. It is the best long-term financial option on there. That does not necessarily mean it is the best for local or the best for Staffordshire. I think our feelings for LGR was made very clear by every single councillor in full council a couple of weeks ago. And that's the issue here. Our job was to put through a financial case through the criteria given. The east-west option did come out very, very clearly ahead on that one. I mean, a lot of people keep saying, oh, it's too big. Well, difference in numbers between the north, south, east, west, the two largest areas, the south and the east, 7,000 more in the west option to the east, just 7,000 people. Landmass, well, landmass, surprise, surprise, a southern unitary authority is 778 kilometres larger than an east one. It's larger. It has a bigger landmass area by far. It means it's longer to travel cost because the road structures aren't as well. Another good point about the proposal we put forward, and this has already been acknowledged, the east-west transportation. As we know, our north-south transport network works quite well, but going east-west does not. This will be a huge benefit to that east-west transportation model. But I think a great, well, not saying great, but an acknowledgement has actually come from the leader of the opposition, the County Council, the Conservative shadow leader, Philip White, who in council and actually at scrutiny acknowledged that the west to east option was actually the best case scenario. He was actually concerned that it was so good that the Labour government would actually be probably and very likely be choosing our option. I mean, even the Conservatives acknowledge this is the best financial option on there. Didn't quite want it to be as good as that. I would really, really like devolution. Let me do a business case on that and I'll show you how we make one that works for all of this county. But it clearly shows that financially wise, long-term, the west-east options for two unitaries under this criteria is the best business case going forwards.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Lodge.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair. Councillor Murray, I've got a couple of comments to make first, and then ask you at the end my question. There's been a lot of noise in the public and a lot of noise in social media recently about the different options, and as you pointed out earlier, some have changed some of the parishes, some of them have the options that other people have put forward have been boundary changes, and also Stoke shouldn't be an island. But specifically, I was looking at the recent one from Lichfield, because they're using the 3 unitary authorities, and having read their 181-page marketing document that is quite lacking in data. The thing that clearly struck me from this, the options, and why we work with PwC, is that we dismissed options 4 and 8 because we said they fiscally were not very good. But strangely, in the document that they produced, where we said in the transition costs for option 4, it would be 39 million, and that would obviously take 9 years to pan itself out and pay back. Strangely, in Lichfield's document, and it's a funny document because they've got the southern unitaries and then they sort of tag on the northern unitary in a separate thing. And you can see it in their document. They say it here. It says, and outlined earlier, specialist advisors have projected the transition cost of implementation the Northern Unitary Council to be 24 million. So we've said it's 39. PwC and our officers have said it's 39. But the combined 3 unitary authorities in their document is just short of £60 million. Bizarrely, their payback period is only 3 years before they start turning into profit, which really surprises me. So I guess, and then it flatlines the profit, which really, again, is a bit of a surprising calculation. So I have looked at our modelling, the fact that we've used PwC, which is the government's preferred choice as well. The previous administration used PwC, and PwC, a respected accounting type consulting company. I trust their judgment. Also, our own senior officers have played a heavy part in doing this modelling. So I think we've got it right. I think the options have been put fairly, professionally, and we've stuck to the dictated terms that Labour have imposed on us for this model through fair. We've done it fairly and squarely. So my point to you, Councillor Murray, is what do you think of the comments that I've made? What's your points on those? Because to me, the option we put forward is the best one, and some of the other options that are out there and widely publicised at the moment just don't fit correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lodge. Yeah, quite correct on the disparities of certain people's financial mathematics. It's bewildering at times. Still waiting for the City of Stoke-on-Trent's business case. It's amazing. We have come into power now in 6 months, so we've had half the time of everybody else, yet we are the first one to have completed all of this task. Our business case, 2 cabinets, scrutiny, presenting ready. We did this in the fastest time. Another good point to actually mention through with the data and the acknowledgement of our officers in transformation and in finance. We actually updated the PwC data. By definition, when this model was originally done, economics change. It changes every month. Your claimant count changes, your economic structures change. Inflation changes. We've updated all that information. That's the level we've gone at. And like I've said originally, this was unbiased, non-political, based on the numbers, because that is the legacy we must leave behind for the whole of Staffordshire. And that's why our numbers are so accurate. You mentioned the payback period from the the 3 councils from the south have put through. That would be the one from Lichfield, South Staffordshire and Tamworth Council. And theirs is for a north plus 2 unitaries in the south. The 2 unitaries south would consist of Cannock, Stafford, South Staffs, and another of Lichfield, Burton and Tamworth. They have their payback. It's funny actually to do twice as many unitaries, cost nearly exactly the same amount as doing one. I don't quite understand that mathematics firstly, but their break-even period, if you go to the different pages in their business plan, one it says 3 years, you've got a graph that says 4 and another one that says 6 years payback period. I mean, I'd love to know which one they're following on that. I mean, they have 3 different models for their payback period. I would absolutely trust PwC. Remember, PwC, the consultants who did the work for the government, that's the whole basis LGR and devolution is based upon. They even did an updated version to guarantee this model is correct for the government. So when they say 9 years just to pay back, I'll take that as read. Especially, it does add confusion, to say the least. Again, it only reads half the picture. It's a political piece of work. I mean, their report, I've got it right here, actually. It's more like a glossary for Lichfield. There's so many pictures all in there and talk about Lichfield and local community and engagement. Wonderful. I wish we could all have done that. But that's not the rules of the game for this. This is about a financial cost saving. That's the rules. That's the criteria put before us, not a political statement. And again, they have not considered the long-term running costs of two smaller ones, as I explained earlier. Those costs for those vital services, for the long-term cost for SEND, for adult-child social care, that huge amount, the amount it's running is about 70% of our expenditure is on these services. They haven't brought that into their consideration. And are they lying to the public about that they don't, or they just don't care about these vital and the most vulnerable in society? This is not politics. This is legacy. This, whatever happens with this, whatever they choose, these words here will go down in history about what and who has done the work. Ours is unbiased. Ours is done by the mathematics, by the finances, and non-political. Because this is legacy for the county of Stafford and every single person in there going forwards. And that's why we have to do the work, and that's why putting forward this business case and accepting this proposal we're putting through right now today is so important for us all to get right. We will not have the final say. In fact, we get very little say at all. That belongs to central government, that belongs to the Labour Party. But at least we can go back and say, in time to come, we put through the unbiased, the professional business case forward. And that's what ours is done. Non-political, non-biased, about the whole county, including our great city of Stonecourt-Trent, and not about localised political campaigning to see if they'll win in one more term somewhere. Ours is very clear-cut, and that's why I'd like to propose it. And we'll go out for more questions to hopefully vote for that to go forwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Are there any more questions from the floor at all from anybody before I summarise and then go to Martin for a recommendation? We all had the chance and the opportunity to say our piece. Okay. Thank you to Councillor Murray for that. And thank you to the officers. This takes a tremendous amount of time and effort for everybody involved in this process. In some ways, it has been a huge distraction. This is not, as we have said, and I'll reiterate, this isn't a reform policy. This is a policy from central government. Nobody, I believe, in this county of Staffordshire really truly wants this. That was shown in full council last week with the comments made and the request to write to the Prime Minister to say we object to that. That letter, I believe, is now in that process of being sent, so that's great to hear that. I think the important thing is to think where we're at. We, as a new Reform administration, have been 100% collective on this. We have just put through one proposal based on the information and data provided by PwC, which has been attained at great public expense, commissioned by others prior to us becoming the administration. We've used that information and that data that's been provided, and as has been said by my colleagues, they are a well-known professional company. What has struck me is we've come to a single conclusion. The opposition have been very, very fractured. We've had a north, a south, we've had the southeast versions, the southwest versions, we've had a single council want to stand on its own. All of the main opposition parties, despite this data available and freely to all, can't even come to a single conclusion collectively. Their decisions have been purely based on their local electorate and their choice to get elected, not for the benefit of the people of Staffordshire. Otherwise, you would have had one single viewpoint from each of the different political parties. That hasn't happened. They have not managed to achieve that. As I said, we've had a fractured three, and we've had a north-south and an independent north. We have a greater greater Stoke-on-Trent option, even put forward. So yes, I think we've done the job properly, professionally. This is based on the business case. And I do commend my colleague Martin Murray for the work that he's put in with that. And with that, I will shut up and let him put forward the recommendation.
Thank you. I'd like to put this forward now, a proposal for local government reorganisation, and that we are to send this business case and the option forward to government. If I want to take an agreement on that, those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Murray. And with that, I will go to item number 4 on the agenda, and there are no exclusions or exceptions. Councillor Hunt.
Just before we end, I think, because it's been a very long process, LG, I just want to make a statement, or if you be happy to say that after today and all the hard work's gone into it from Councillor Murray, yourselves and many of the officers within County Council, just as we end, that now that the hard work's been done, a lot of the work, there's still some work to be done, but now we can actually focus on more of the more pertinent things within our county and focus on, like I say, issues around SEND and adult social care and all the other issues from now on, and put a focus on that from now on, basically, as this is behind us.
Thank you, Councillor. I think you've said that quite eloquently. I don't think I need to repeat that. This is a government decision, the decision of the government after we put forward our proposal in November will be decided in the future. I'm not quite sure the date. It's sometime in July, we believe. We wait on the decision that this government decides that it wants to put forward. But thank you for your point. Very well made, and I think you did it eloquently. So if we move to item number 4, exclusion of the public, I don't think there's any items on that. And with that, I will close the meeting. Thank you very much indeed.